What's up, guys? This is Projekt. Welcome back, and I'm gonna answer some questions that I've had before on previous videos. The PTR patch notes for 5.2. A lot of people were asking me what kind of macros I was using. Well, also in personal messages, people were asking me what sort of add-ons I was using as well, which was kind of a joke because when I made it, I really wasn't using that many add-ons. I was using this really fancy add-on called Engraved. Now, what you're gonna see different is, hey, check it out, I've got a pet. Well, why do you have a pet? Don't you play Frost? Yeah, I did, until I found out something really awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at my fancy smancy new UI. I've still got Engraved. You can see all of my fancy little runes right here, so they're nice and big and I can see them. And I've also got, at the very bottom of my screen, you can see I've got the different presences I can be in, and those are now key bound instead of me having to click them individually. I can rotate through those as I need to. It's really nice. I really like that. I didn't do it before, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's because I got so used to the way my keybinds were, I just needed an overhaul. So what I did was I found a couple of add-ons, and I'll go through them with you and I'll show you how you can set up your UI to look similar to this if you want to, or just certain aspects of it. What you're going to see here is at the bottom, where these runes are. First add-on we're going to talk about is Engraved. Okay, Engraved makes it to where you can take your runes and you can change how they look. Okay, you can put them in configure mode and you can move them around. You can do whatever you want. You can make them larger, smaller, whatever you want. And you can also change their color. So you can change it to a little bit more of a dim thing. If you want your blood runes for some ungodly reason, like blue, you could do that. And you know what? It's really just making it how you want. So say you're a girl or a guy that likes bright colors. Feel like making your death runes be bright ass pink, or make your blood runes be bright ass pink and keep your death runes purple. You could absolutely do that. You can do whatever you want with this. You can change it around. You can see the different themes here. You can change it to glyph. You can change it to Nexus, Ulduar, and all of this. It all goes back into going to your interface and then clicking on the add-ons tab and then go to Engraved. And then once you get it done, you get it looking how you want, right? Me personally, I like the Great Sword. So go to play mode and it locks them in place. And now they're complete and totally click-free. Okay, pretty cool, huh? I like it. Another thing I've got, something I like personally, mixed scrolling battle text. It's a little bit easier because I don't like to have everything up here, the actual area that you need to see. I don't like to have that just full of random useless things. I really don't. So what I like to do is have it set up to where the only thing that shows up are my procs. And there's really, I think you can do something about those, but I kind of like those because it's a good thing. But those don't get in the way. So what I basically did is, now that I've got my damage rolling, you can see it, I've got it set up to where all my damage output is here. So if, for some reason the damage I do seems a little bit above and beyond what I think it should be, I can look over here and see real quick what I actually did without it actually interfering what I can see. Remember, you're supposed to have 90% of your vision focus on the target, and you're supposed to have 10% of your vision focus on reloading the weapon and whatnot, right? It's the same thing, same concept in WoW as shooting guns, right? You want to focus mostly on your target, making sure that you know exactly where he is at all times, because if somebody moves this far away, I can no longer hit them, right? So you got to stay on top of them, especially as a holy. Make sure that you're staying on top of your targets, or you're doing the maximum amount of damage possible. Now you guys are looking at it, God, what is that? What is that thing? It's showing up above his target. Well, let me untarget something. You guys see what I'm doing right now? Targeting. See this guy? Got a couple of necrotics right now. Stack those necrotics up. See what's happening? It's changing the number. That's an add-on called necrotic tracker, or necrotic track. You can actually go in here and you can change how it looks. Okay, you can change the width, you can change the height. You can do basically whatever you want. But what you do is slash NT, and it brings up the smaller version, movable version of that bar. And then you can type it again, slash NT test. And that actually brings up where your bar is. Now you can unlock it, move it around, do whatever you need to do with it. And you can change it to bigger, smaller bar. What I did was basically just set it up how I want my target size to be. And once I set that up, I just made it match up with it, line up, be nice and clean looking. It's a little bit extra, and it does, you know, sort of get in your way, but it's right there, you know, in your peripheral. So once you do get that big, huge, crazy, giant stack up, you can tell your buddy to switch, or you know, that way you know how efficient you're doing. And it also it's really good too. About a good way of tracking your necrotics is to know when it's about to drop off. So you can actually look at here, type in NC test again, let it drop off, and you can actually start taking a good look at what you actually have going on, what you're rolling through. Okay, so go through, get a whole bunch of death runes, you start stacking them. Okay, now what you're gonna look at is as you see death coils going off. Okay. Your death coils are going to allow you to build up stacks of blood tap. Blood tap is in your 75 talent tree. Blood tap, each damaging death coil, frost strike, or wind strike generates 2 blood charges up to a maximum of 12 charges. So you can't have more than 12, right? So that's another little thing for efficiency's sake. Blood tap consumes 2 blood charges to activate a random fully depleted rune as a death rune. So for blood tap to work, you have to have a rune that has been used. So in this case, we want to build up enough runic power that we can actually get off the death coil or 2. Okay, so basically it turns out to be per death coil 2 stacks of your blood tap. So what you do is you've got a death rune here. It's probably going to use this one. Okay, it's going to, I have a macro set up. I'll show you what that macro is right now. I have a macro set up that when you hit necrotic strike, it's going to actually do the move. Okay, slash cast necrotic strike. So what you do is once you build up your death coils, you got those stacks built up, good to go. Okay, you hit necrotic strike. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is one of these will get used. You'll see one of these death runes get used, and it will immediately, because blood tap is not on GCD, it will immediately replace it. See that? See, it immediately gets replaced. Okay, now what you have to be aware of here is that there's nothing to be replaced with a death rune. It cannot work. So what you'll wind up seeing is once you get these rolling, you can stack enough death runes to just do whatever you want. Alright, now that you've seen what you're capable of doing with necrotics, let's actually put them to use. I'm going up against my buddy Alonzo here. Alonzo is an enhanced chamois. He is about 1/3 of the way through tyrannical, so he doesn't have a whole crazy, just ungodly amount of health, but he does have a decent amount of resilience, and he's a person, so he's got the base damage reduction that everybody's got. So let's see what I can actually do here. Okay, so you see I start, I get my diseases on him, I start dumping runes, I get some necrotics rolling on him, go ahead and empower rune weapon, get some more necrotics. You see that? Did you see that heal he got off? Okay, if you looked, he actually went from 120, actually, let's just look at that again. Alright, so watch this. As you see, he's got, he winds up having up to right around 150k healing absorption on him. He's got this big long heal that he starts to do. I've got this in half mode. When he gets done, nothing happens. It's amazing, right? So basically what you try to do with healers is the exact same thing. You build up a big stack, and then they eventually can't keep up with your interrupts and such like that, and CCs and stuff like that. Eventually you're gonna have the upper hand and they won't be able to keep up, and that's basically how necrotics work. Now what we got is another add-on which I'm a huge fan of. It is called Tidy Plates. Tidy Plates, basically what it does is it changes your ability to make the nameplate over somebody's head look however you want. Okay, and you can change the target opacity, you can change the non-target opacity. Personally, what I like to do is I like to have everybody's name the exact same look. And the coolest part about tidy plates, and personally what I think as a Deathknight you need, and the reason why I refuse to run without it, is because as you can see, you can tell as you target things what your dots are on. Look, all my dots are on different stuff. Okay, now, how does that come into play really? It's a lot easier for tracking your dots. Okay, so when something drops off of someone, you can tell. So now what we got is we have the ability to actually see a legitimate timer on necrotic strike, which you can actually do with a necrotic tracker, but at the same time it's a lot easier when it's right above their head. So keep that in mind. Also, a big thing to remember is never ever should you not have blood plague on a target. Ever. Which, as you can see, I'll go ahead and switch real quick. In Frost, it's very common in RBGs for you to run around and you want to put all your dots on a whole bunch of different targets, right? Of course you do. So how does that work? Well, basically, that works like this. You go around, you Howling Blast a lot, you go back into your normal rotation, and you're beating on stuff. What actually happens is your Obliterate, read it, your Obliterate deals 386% weapon damage, and the total is increased by another 12.5% for each of your diseases on the target. So look at that actual difference right now. Okay, I think I've already put this out in the previous video, but I don't really care. I want it to be known. Okay, I want you guys to understand. The only disease that's actually on the target right now is Frost Fever. Okay, so I'm gonna hit it with an Obliterate proc for 163,000. Okay. Now I'm going to put a disease on it. Okay, and I have another Obliterate proc. 197. Okay. See, it's a little bit of difference, but how many times have you had somebody down really low and you almost killed them with an Obliterate, and then as soon as you hit that Obliterate, what happened? What happened? You were out of runes and they healed to full. Okay. So also what I really want to stress too is keeping in mind not only what diseases you have on people, but I want you to also remember what your AoE is doing. You as Frost, yes, you're going to run around and you're going to Howling Blast when you need to. When you're at range, a lot of people don't use Icy Touch. Well, why? I don't really know, but a lot of people don't. The problem is, if you as a Deathknight are spamming Howling Blast all the time, Mage's Poly is going to be useless. Complete and totally useless. So what you want to do is you want to get the whole group together, right? And while that whole group's on them, you put your dots on everything. Everything, right? And then mages, and especially rogues, when they blind, they can make it to where all the dots drop off of their target when they poly it. Okay, if they say they're polying something and you pull one of these maneuvers, you have just dropped their poly. Okay, you were hitting the guy that was 8 yards from them and you took their poly off, and now a healer is free to free cast. Okay, it's useless. So make sure that you pay attention to that. It's definitely a big deal. Now, you guys were asking me a lot of questions about what macros I use in Frost, and actually, at first I wanted to say, well, I don't use any, but then I realized that wasn't true, because what you guys are looking at is you're looking at the writing on my different keybinds and stuff. So I'll go ahead and let you guys in on small little things I do to increase my damage. Okay, so we got something that I used to use. I used to use a cooldown macro that was basically everything. It was everything that I could possibly have. Okay, you can even see in there. It was a cooldown macro that also worked for Unholy. An Empower Rune weapon. Okay, the idea was that you would dump everything. You would dump all your runes. You would empower rune weapon, so you'd have everything back. And then it would, at the same time you empower, pop your trinket, your Pillar of Frost, or Unholy Frenzy, depending on what spec you were. And also, if you were Unholy, it would also summon your Gargoyle. Does it work? Yes. Does it work for going back and forth between two individual specs? Yes. Should you really use it that way? Is it really efficient? No. So, what do you guys actually do when you're in Frost? Okay? When you're in Frost and you're running around in a rated battleground, how often do you pop your cooldowns? Do you pop them every time they're up? Or do you wait until that one specific moment where you might need a little bit of extra damage? I'm going to say that 95% of you pop them every single time they're off cooldown, because in an RBG setting, everything needs to die right now all the time. So, what do? How do you alleviate the situation? What I did was, because I use my Howling Blast once every minute or so, and my Pillar of Frost is on a, amazingly enough, 1 minute cooldown. Okay, I went ahead and macroed it to my Howling Blast. And then also on top of that, I macroed in my trinket. So basically what you do is you just slash cast Howling Blast. So every time you cast Howling Blast, if Pillar of Frost or your trinket are off cooldown, it'll happen. So what that does is it makes Frost, I know the trolls out there are going to kill you guys for it, it makes Frost a little bit more mindless, which, for those of you that have ever target called, having a mindless DPS spec, okay, that's good. It's good a lot of times. So you can actually output a decent amount of damage and be able to talk and communicate the way you need to. You can call out for CCs, you can call out for whatever you need. I'm sure you guys look at this and you're like, oh my god, what do you do in arenas? Well, I'll go ahead and let you know what I do in arenas. I don't play Frost. It's basically how that works. I don't play Frost in arenas anymore. I actually switched to Unholy recently, and once I figured out how to stack necrotics properly and how to set up kills in Unholy, once I figured that out, there's really not been any turning back with me at all. Now, one thing you actually see it here. One thing about Unholy, and a lot of people have the same issue, is that sometimes when you switch specs, your body plates does something weird, and it actually doesn't work correctly. So, there you go. Now it's showing. not showing my diseases. Okay, so when you switch specs, make sure that you reset your body plates to make sure that it works properly. Now, for the stuff at the bottom, really quick stuff, and this is up to you. This is actually called Bartender. What it allows you to do is it allows you to set up your bars in any configuration you want. You can take your bar that was down here, okay, and you can move it to up here. You can take your other ones from other places, and you can just all stack them up in one nice convenient area. Okay, my extra action bar, if you don't need something, so I don't need my extra action bar that's right here, right? Go here, extra action bar, and disable it. And now it's like it was never even there. Okay, so my pet bar, see that? If you don't have a pet out,
that spell isn't ready yet.
If you don't have a pet out, then there's not going to be anything there. But as soon as you pull one out, all of my pet bindings are all right there. So feel free to use that. It's really cool. Bartender is really nice. It definitely helped me clean up my UI. It definitely made it a lot more seamless in my mind. And the more simple you can keep it for yourself, the better off it will be. If you can't understand what is going on with your UI, then you are not going to be able to use it efficiently. So, that being said, I've been playing Unholy for a little bit now. I'm really digging it, man. Appreciate you guys stopping by and watching the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks.